Good morning, everyone. You have arrived at the Awakened Mother Show. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers, and this weekly show is for you. They are dialogues that are uncensored, unfiltered, raw, real, authentic, all in service to the empowerment of mothers and others who wish to stand in their authentic power as women, as mothers, as change makers. And so I invite you to just sit back, get out your journal, get a glass of water, open your ears, your heart, your mind, and receive the manna that is going to come forth this morning. I am particularly thrilled because the guest this morning is someone that I have literally known almost as long as I've lived in Los Angeles. I arrived in Los Angeles in August of 1999 and went to the Agape International Spiritual Center, which is my spiritual home. And approximately 4 months after that, I was sitting praying with somebody in the back of the sanctuary. And I was so moved by her beauty, her presence, her consciousness. And I'm going to pause for 1 second. And I looked into this woman's eyes and I said, I would like your number. And the woman that I'm referring to is our guest, Cynthia James. She is a powerhouse. She is real. She is a woman, a change maker, a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a licensed ordained minister. She is a transformational coach, an inspirational leader, guiding people to make changes at deep level for lasting healing. Cynthia excels as a speaker, and I can tell you she is riveting. When you sit and you hear Cynthia speak, it is like the divine just pouring forth through her. And I know I am so blessed by what I hear her speak. And she is a riveting, wonderful, exceptional coach, singer, and multiple award-winning author. What Will Set You Free? Revealing Your Extraordinary Essence. #1 Amazon bestseller for I Choose Me, the art of being a phenomenally successful woman at home and at work. And her newest book, Does My Voice Matter?, was released this year on September 27. And I can tell you that it is a page turner. Cynthia embodies the quote, I am not what I have done, I am what I have become. And she leads others to do the same. Her own life was transformed as she transcended a violent and abusive childhood. Through education and personal healing, she created the foundation for all of her programs. Her work in self-care strategies and emotional integration supports leaders, women, and organizations internationally. I will make sure in the liner notes that you know where to reach her, and I will tell you right now, you can go to www.cynthiajames.net. So Cynthia, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, Wendy, I'm so happy to be with you. It's so wonderful to see what you're doing, and you look beautiful, and it's exquisite. And I hope you cannot hear my dogs thundering through the house upstairs.
I don't think so at this moment, but that's what I love about having home studios and home offices, is that we get to keep it real, which is what you epitomize. I mean, I'm looking at this because I've read this book from cover to cover. I've highlighted, it is, every page is highlighted, because what you present in this book, which is Does My Voice Matter?, is really, it is a journey of self-discovery and authenticity. And you take us on this journey from when you were a child. Like, I love how you did the decades and what was happening in the world at that time through the present day. And to be in this arc of transformation, as you can, it was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. it was quite a journey doing this book. And I wanted to include in it what was happening culturally and politically and socially that was impacting my choices.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I know is that no matter what's happening in your life, those things are affecting us, and we get to choose how we respond to them versus react. And so I'd love to tell you that I was enlightened as a kid, but that was not the truth. And that's what's in the book. It's like, what did I do to learn?
Yes. Yes. Excuse me. We have a guest here. Thank you. Yes. Well, I really appreciated how you gave that perspective, because it really illuminated what you were going through, what you went through with your family, what you went through culturally, what you went through professionally. I mean, it was such a picture, a snapshot, but a deep dive into your own experience as you moved through this, like as a child. And I loved your description of your mother's journey, how your mother didn't have a voice, but she did when you left school. Then do you want to share just a piece about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about, I come from 5 generations of women who were abused and traumatized and really did not believe they had a voice and were, constantly in challenging relationships. And when I was in school, I went to a school where there was a swimming pool and it was mandatory to swim. And any of you who are listening who are African-American will know what I'm about to say, that, when you are Black and your hair gets wet, it goes like this, and white people's hair goes like this. And so we did not want our hair to expand. And so we wore double swimming caps, and I dove into the pool and my cap broke. And so my hair got wet, and I went to the teacher and I asked to go home because I lived really close to fix my hair. And she said, absolutely not. And I said, no, you don't understand. They won't just make fun of me today. This will be an ongoing thing. And she basically turned her back on me and said, this conversation is over, get to class. Mm-hmm. And it was a choice point. I had to go to class and go through what I knew was going to be humiliation, or go home and fix myself. And so I did that. And then they wouldn't let me back in school until my mother came. Mm-hmm. And so when my mother came home, I was crying and I was telling her what happened. And she asked me why I made my choice. And I told her. And so she goes back to school with me the next day. And she's sitting there with the principal, who's really talking about how horrible I am and how I broke the rules. And I just, was disobedient and all of these things. And my mother normally was kind of a shrinking violet. I mean, she would be emotional, but she didn't speak up for herself. And so I'm sitting there, and when the man finishes, she says, do you have any idea how hard it is to be a teenage colored girl in this school? Mm. And he looked at her, and I looked at her because where was this voice coming from? And she said, my daughter is not disobedient. She's a straight A student. She's involved in all of these activities. She shows up and she really tries to be a good girl. But having her hair be in that state would have caused great tension and trauma for her. So whatever you need to do, tell us. And so he said, well, I'm going to put her in detention for 2 weeks, and if she does this again, she's going to be, suspended. And so my mother said, fine. And he gave me a pink slip, and she walks me to the door of my class. And she looks me in the eyes. I feel emotional as I'm saying this. She looks me in the eyes and she said, I am so proud of you. Mm-hmm. She said, learning to take care of yourself is one of the biggest things that you will ever have to learn. And I'm grateful that you stood for yourself. And she kissed me and walked away, and we never spoke about it again.
Wow. Never
spoke about it again. It was the one moment where she was like, okay, yeah, who you are is okay.
That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful because and what also strikes me in your book, as you're recounting the experiences that you went through as a young woman, with the history, the generational trauma and abuse, also as a Black woman navigating these terrains where you're one of the only Black women, and you're in a position of leadership, or you're, when you were able to win the contest, when you were on the shows. And what struck me is this, how we talk about the witness consciousness?
Yes.
I hear that in the book. I hear that you were very much in the experience that you were having, while you were also having this witness experience of what was going on and what steps you needed to take.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that, because when you become an actor, that's a part of the thing that they invite you to do, is to become a witness, to witness what's going on around you, witness who's doing what, and also witness yourself, especially if you're in some kind of emotional state, to witness what's happening and what you're doing. Now, I didn't know that as I was growing up, but it was an innate part of me to just be a witness to what I was experiencing. And on some level, make decisions about how I was going to move. And it was so unconscious. I mean, today I'm aware that, I had angels and guides and all kinds of support, walking me through stuff. But at the time, it just felt like some part of me knew what to do in that moment.
Yeah, that's really the sense that I got. Like, even when you described being a caretaker for your younger brother when you were a child,
right?
It was just you just knew what to do, and how you decided that you were going to be in a lot of after school activities so you wouldn't have to be home, and how that turned out to really be a benefit for you. I mean, you're a world-class debater, and you played chess, and you were a cheerleader. Like, you partook in all of these activities that allowed you to have a different experience.
Yeah, what's interesting is, like, one of the things I tell my clients is, you can dream, but nothing happens until you become active. And because I wanted to get out of my circumstances and out of welfare lines, and to become successful in school and maybe even go to college, I watched and I said, oh, well, I need to participate. I need to get out there and become active, so I didn't know how to debate when I joined the debate club, and I certainly didn't know how to play chess. I mean, I just kept doing those things because it felt like it was movement, even though I didn't have any idea where it was going to take me.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What I was hearing in my ears, and probably Michael Beckwith has said this, or we've heard this, but the participating in your own unfoldment.
Yes.
And also, what I appreciate about your book, and I really invite everyone listening and or watching this to purchase this book and to do the exercises at the end of the chapter, so you will experience an inner transformation, which leads to an outer transformation. And the emphasis on the vision, there were so many places in the book that you referred back to having a vision. And when you have a vision, you must take action, and that you don't give up on your vision. And I remember what was very poignant in one of the chapters is you talked about looking at your family and observing what we call, that unconscious agreement to stay where they are, and your inner agreement that you were not going to repeat the pattern. You were dissolving, you were ending this generational patterning.
100%.
Yeah.
I was like, I do not want to be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, struggling and believing that I'm in scarcity and not doing what I love to do. And, because when I was a kid, I was dreaming. I was like, okay, you guys, I'm going to travel and I'm going to be on stages and and they would be like, hello, you are on welfare. What is wrong with you? And I'd be like, I don't care. I'm going to be next Nancy Wilson. I was saying all this stuff, and I know they thought I was crazy. And I didn't understand future casting at the time.
Right.
I just felt like if I can keep my mind and my focus on this thing that I want, then I don't have to deal with all the suffering that is innate in my family.
I love that. Yes. The future casting, the vision casting, the way that you describe that, you stay true to your vision. And it really also speaks to, I know what Cynthia is like as a counselor because she was my counselor for a long time. And I know the strength and the container that you hold and the wisdom that you impart. And it really speaks to being surrounded by people who want for you what you want for yourself.
That's right. Well, and I want to say this too. Thank you so much, Wendy, for saying that. Because I train coaches and
Yes.
I work with coaches and therapists. And what I tell them is, if you do your work, if you take a deeper dive into what the universe is asking you to become, then you will be able to hold the container for many. You will be able to be a witness and a model for people because they'll see what's possible based on where you come from. And so I'm grateful that you said that, because that from the moment I graduated from practitioner training, that was my intention, to be a beneficial presence and to do the work so that people could see that there was always a light at the end of the tunnel if I could do it.
Well, yeah, you absolutely demonstrated that. So for those, I just want to let you know that we're very stream of consciousness in this conversation. And again, I want you to buy this book. I really want you to do it and leave a review. And so so Cynthia presenced about she wanted to fly. Well, not only did she get a job with TWA, but she ended up in leadership at TWA. And that led into opportunities to sing and to dance and to be a showgirl in Las Vegas. I mean, the way that I like to call them cosmic breadcrumbs, right? The way that these cosmic breadcrumbs on this beautiful day of the solstice, where the cosmic light is, just bursting forth. And so you really demonstrated that. Even though there was a Cindy, the part of you that was connected to your family, to your past, the insecure part, there was that Cynthia, that powerful aspect that you stepped into when you did all these amazing things. TWA.
That's really interesting. I talk about Cindy and Cynthia in the book because Cindy was timid, afraid, of being hurt or punished, being too visible. And she was afraid to take risks. And Cynthia was fierce. She was getting out there and jumping into stuff and doing all kinds of stuff. And people would say, "You're doing what? You're going where?" And it was like, there wasn't a part of me that knew that I was stepping through portals, but there was a part of me that knew that every time I said yes, that the universe would correspond. And there's this thing called human design, and I'm a projector. And then the projectors, their thing is to wait for the invitation. And so when the universe would give me an invitation, I even though I didn't know what I was doing, I'd say yes. And then it would take me to a place, and then there would be another one, And so I started seeing that if I honored that intuitive knowing, and if I listened and said yes, something fabulous would happen.
And it did. Even with, the relationships, the men that you married, the relationships that you had, and the way that you would navigate, you would jump in, you were aware of what was going on for you when you started to see. Like, I love how you presenced the pattern, right? At one point you're like, no, it did not escape me that this was a second, or here was a man, that was expressing this, and how you allowed yourself to also dive into the inner work. You presence therapy, and I love how you talked about in the Black culture, you don't put your business out there. And you went forth. You said, I'm doing this. And you have not one master's, but two masters.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting because as a child, if you had told me that I was a rebel, I would have said, oh no, I'm not really a rebel. But the choices that I made were rebellious based on where I came from, because my family would say, well, we don't have enough money to go to therapy, or why would we want to go sit with people and talk about our business and, have people judge us? I mean, there was all kinds of conversations about it. But the thing is like, when I looked at, if for anybody listening, okay, I'm in my fourth marriage, so don't give up.
Testing love.
Yes, right. And this man I've been with for 27 years, so, life is good. But here's the deal, that when I started looking at that, I was the common denominator in every relationship, and that I was choosing the same people in different bodies. Like, well, hello, Cynthia, maybe you better change you. Maybe you better look at you, and maybe you better take a hiatus here.
Yeah. And I love how you described meeting Carl during your hiatus.
Yes.
I love that. You said, I was in a hiatus and here's this man. And then you went forward.
Yeah, but the thing is, I almost didn't recognize him because he wasn't crazy. He wasn't, an alcoholic or, full of stuff. I mean, it was like, okay, the other shoe's got to drop because it's always dropped, right? At one point he said, I am who I say I am.
Oh, it's so interesting too, because when you have trauma, your nervous system gets accustomed to a certain level of dysregulation. Yes. And then as you grow and evolve, hopefully your nervous system also does too. And yet there's that built in, okay, well, we're not having a lot of drama. We're not having a lot of chaos and up and down. This person seems to be very steady. Oh, like maybe this isn't.
Yeah, it's like, what's happening here? Right. You know what I mean? And when I had my my shower before our wedding, they asked me, what did I want to say about this relationship? And what I said was that Carl is the manifestation of my shift in consciousness.
I loved when you said that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I just want anybody who's listening to know that if you don't love what's going on, you can change it. Yeah. And it may take time and it may take work and you may cry a lot and you may, flail and do all this other stuff. But I guarantee you the universe will bring you forward and show you that what you are dreaming of and what you desire is real.
Amen. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And you really articulated that in the book about staying, the vision and voice. You spoke about how important, how your voice matters, so whoever is listening and whoever is watching and then reads the book, you will see there is a thread, the theme through the book, of course, because of the title of the book. You really speak to the power and to the inherent destiny and birthright of having a voice.
Yeah. And I want to say to anybody listening, the voice isn't just the sound you make. It's not just the thing coming through the larynx. It could be the way you write. It could be the way you dance. It could be the way you dress, the way you decorate your home, the way you paint. It's about bringing your full expression and your creativity into any field and allowing it to blossom. And then the universe will sync up and take you to places you've never dreamed of.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I think of you on some of the, when you were on the shows, and how you would just show up. You did all of your preparation, and then you showed up and you excelled. You were waiting. I remember, I know it's going to be this other person, and then they announced you, and then this happened. It happened several times, and you were the winner. And then, when you described about going to the star-studded event, the red carpet event with Lou Gossett, and how he mentioned seeing the show. He's like, he's like, yeah, I voted for you. I mean,
yeah, for those of you who don't know, she's talking about Star Search. And it was when they had an acting category, and I kept winning week after week. And to my surprise and everybody else's, I'm sure. And then I won, and they literally handed me a check for $100,000 on TV. And after that, I was introduced to a man who would become my husband, Lou Gossett, and he took me to an event. And
without telling you
no, he didn't tell me there were going to be paparazzi. He said, we're going to a formal affair, wear a gown. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we pull up, and there's like red carpet, and there's cameras everywhere. And I just was like, whoa. I was looking at the documentary of Harry and Meghan, and I could really relate to what she said. She got, it's like they came out of nowhere. And he said, don't worry, just smile, I'll talk. And so we're walking, and one guy goes, who's your date, Lou? And he goes, my name was Cynthia James Reese at that time. Cynthia James Reese, she won Star Search. And I got in, and I was like, did you see the show? He goes, oh yeah, I rooted for you.
I love that. I loved that. And I also, I thought it was really significant when he spoke, when you were on the cruise, how you went on this cruise. And it is exhausting when people want to connect with you in that way. It really is. And it takes a lot of, because you've done it, but you really have to prepare yourself and really be open and available, and then also steward yourself, be a good steward to your energy. And he spoke to how you were there because those people, the fans, really cared, and how that was you had an awareness about, I'm going to equate it to being of service.
Yes. Well, it is. I mean, the thing is, it's like, if you're a public figure on any level, you are, a public figure because there are people that resonate with you. There are people that care about what you have to say and what you're doing because you are modeling for them on some level. And so his conversation with me was like, please do not take these people for granted. You wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here if these people were not invested in the gifts that you bring. So it is a high level of service, and you owe it to bring your best in every situation and to be honoring and caring. Now, that doesn't mean letting people, breach your boundaries and all that kind of stuff. But it does mean give thanks that these people are the people that come to hear you speak, come to buy your products, come to see your movies. Give thanks.
Yes, which you absolutely do model, I will tell you. Even with, I was reading about the stalking when you were at Mile High Church in Colorado, and how you didn't say anything initially. And then it became apparent that you needed to say something. And I imagine the experiences that you had as a public figure and married to somebody who was also a public figure, that they were filtering in as you move through that experience. And you described that really well.
A lot of people are afraid to be visible, and I understand it, because, there's stalkers, there's trollers, there's all kinds of stuff, whether it's in person or it's on social media. But here's the thing I want to say. You get to set your boundaries.
Mhm.
You get to stand for yourself, and you're hiding, you're dimming your light, you're withdrawing your energy, deprives the people that need it the most, who are waiting for you, who are waiting for what you have to deliver. It deprives them of that. And so you just get clear, I'm going to be visible, and these are my boundaries. And anybody that tries to cross those boundaries, they're gonna hit the wall, because I'm gonna speak up, or I'm gonna get assistance to help them outside of my space. And so I feel very grateful that, there's been a few of those kinds of things, but I really believe that my faith and my understanding that I'm always protected and I'm always cared for and I live in a safe universe has guided me through a lot of things with not as much of that kind of stuff as some people have received.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Well, you have excellent boundaries, by the way. That was one I remember when I first came to see you. Because I know I became pregnant while I was seeing you, and you were really clear with me about having boundaries. And even though I had been doing so much work on myself for all those years before I got there, I felt like I was in new territory. And I really looked to you because you were so clear and resolute about your boundaries. It was a great modeling.
Yeah. And I want you to know, it took a while to learn it. I didn't know no was a complete sentence.
Right?
I didn't. And I didn't know that I didn't have to say yes because it's what you wanted, or I didn't have to say yes because it was going to make you happy and I needed to take care of you. I didn't know that. But I kept saying, this is too painful. How about I take care of me first, which is how I wrote I Choose Me. It's like, how about if I choose me first, and then that raises the frequency of my environment and I get to choose who I invite in.
Mm-hmm. That's so potent. Did you all catch that? That is a really, go back and listen to that. That's so potent. It's everything. It's what you're talking about. And then it leads to, does my voice matter? And how important it does, how your voice does matter. And pages 117 to 119, where you also refer at the end of the book to these different categories where you get to look at these tools, these questions, these tools. So again, everyone who's listening, I really invite you to purchase this book, do the exercises, leave your review, and you will have an inner transformation. I know I have, by reading that book. And I love the work that you do, emotional integration and emotional freedom, that you created as you were getting one of your masters in spiritual psychology.
Yeah, one of the things is I noticed that people would come to me and they would feel better, and then they'd go off and then they'd be back again. And it was like, okay, what? So it was like some emotional pattern was running, and I started to understand that it wasn't just a mental emotional pattern, it was a physical one as well. And so I started working with people on the mind-body connection in terms of, let's find out what's happening in your body, because everything that's happened to you is encoded in your body somewhere. And so let's find out where it is and what the message is, because your body has a language, and there's a reason that this all happened, and things are happening for your good. So you don't have to keep repeating these patterns over and over and over once you understand the opportunity to learn, to grow, to heal. And so I just invite people into that process. And I'm grateful that I've done that. And I do it with leaders, and I do it with, teams, and I train coaches to do the same thing, because we're watching the level of mental illness rise around the world in extraordinary ways, isolation rise in extraordinary ways, and people need tools, and I'm a minister and I'm a practitioner. And so I know prayer works, but sometimes you need other tools to help you navigate those places where emotionally you are stuck and in a pattern.
Oh, again, another amen. Absolutely. That was something that I found for myself that was needed and necessary to really release the cellular
Yes.
remembering, to let it go so that I really can step into and continue to step into. You spoke about the vision and how you, these are my words, but you live into a vision.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it changes the vision, not the foundational qualities, the feeling tone of the vision, but many times, right, the way it looks is going to be very
Yeah. What you think is going to occur, you could be totally off.
right.
I mean, it could, yeah, because here's the thing. Your purpose isn't something you find, it's encoded in you. You do live into it, you reveal it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to look exactly the way you think you drew it out or put it on your vision map. It's gonna show up for the highest and best for you and those you serve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And anyone who's with us as you're listening to this, I do really encourage you to reach out. If you are moving through anything in your life and you want some guidance, support, you're ready to go to the next level, just seek out Cynthia. And again, www.cynthiajames.net. The wealth of experience that you share, becoming a mother, the way that you spoke about your intuition throughout the book, and how intuition will show up. And it really, and I know that, for sure, it's about fine tuning so that you listen.
Right.
And then with your son, and how the boys, you're a mother of boys, right? And then you're a grandmother of boy. And do you have any granddaughters?
I have 4 granddaughters, and yes, and 3 grandsons, and now OMG, I've got 4 great grandchildren. I'm like, no, I am not ready. And the universe said, too bad.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is. And it's amazing. One of my granddaughters just received an extraordinary scholarship, 4-year scholarship, all expenses paid, because her mother was like, you must become educated. You must become educated. And this girl, I mean, all the portals are open. It will be fascinating to see where she goes. But all of those grandkids, have had opportunities to step into their greatness. So it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I have full body chills as you're talking about that, because that was also something that I remember that you said to your son. You not Sharon, but
Sharon Lee.
Sharon,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. But your
Mm-hmm.
other son, you said to him, you must get educated.
That's right. Yeah.
And
listen, I want people to know this whole thing about people of color, there's a whole lot of dimensions to it. But our education is essential, because it's the only way we can shift the paradigms that we come from and create new ways of being. And education could look like a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But, part of mine was literally being in educational institutes, but the other part of mine was traveling the world and being with people from all different cultures to start to understand that we're really interconnected. It's not just a concept. And so whatever is calling you, learn about it. Go to school. Get a counselor, get a coach, do something that's going to help you become more intelligent about what you want to create.
Yes. And you really spoke to that. And it was really beautiful to see how your sons you held. I mean, that goes back to in consciousness, when we stand resolute on holy ground and we hold that space and we support it through our spiritual work, it ripples out.
Yes.
And your sons follow that. I mean, it was really beautiful. And I mean, really, there's so much in this book that speaks to me. All the work that you've done, all of your experiences, that from the time you left home and how you were able to navigate the vicissitudes of life, you know, the hills, the valleys, and how you are, because I know you are still open to learning and growing, how you ended up at guidance. I love that. And how Reverend Michael said to you, you called him when you were going through a difficult time, and he said to you, stand in front of the mirror and say, I am enough.
That's right.
And how that brought you, and he said, call me back when you embody that.
Yeah, it took me to my knees.
Right, that's what I was going to say. You were brought to your knees.
What I need. Yeah, you know, and listen, everybody, I don't think there's a human being that doesn't have moments of thinking they're not enough, they're not important, they don't matter. I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff being bombarding us, but learning the skills to be able to claim who you are and own it beyond what other people think.
Right.
I mean, that's a game changer.
So true. That cellular work, that cellular work that allows you to really activate the call on your soul. Like you said, the purpose gets revealed. It's not something you go out to get. It's something you go in to release.
Yes.
So, and I love how you said, after you wrote what will set you free, you spoke about being pregnant with possibility.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, that expansion, that spaciousness. And
it's available.
Yeah. The direct communication with God.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about that. Some part of you will want to stay small, and you must step out anyway.
Yeah.
And then Chartres, France, and your experience with the well, and your soul remembering.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. And this one was really, finding your voice doesn't ensure an outcome.
That's right. It doesn't. But it does ensure you standing in the fullness of who you came to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, you know, it means you have respect for yourself, honor for yourself, trust in yourself.
Yeah.
I think when you find your voice, then you take ownership of who you are and how you're operating. And it's important.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of when in 12-step program, people make amends.
Yes.
And it's a spiritual process. And it's not really for the other person that's receiving the amends, even though it certainly is helpful, but it's for the person on their spiritual journey of recovering themselves.
That's right. That's right.
So, and then you said love is the answer to every situation. You're regarding, and that I Choose Me emerged from that experience, where love is the answer to every situation with regard to your mom.
Yeah, you know, love is the foundation of the universe. I mean, really, that's the energy and the essence of God, spirit, universe, whatever you choose to call it. Yeah. So yeah, it's the answer. It's the answer to every question and every aspect of life. Sometimes it's self-love, sometimes it's love of humanity, sometimes it's love of the earth. There's a lot of different forms of it, but love is the answer.
And wow, do we need that answer right now to unify and to heal the divides and to allow humanity to evolve to a much more conscious and connected and kind place. Yeah. And I love this too. When you are called to higher ground into another realm of expression, it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, when you have a calling, it's not going to come in some linear fashion that says on December 12th, go over here. And then, it doesn't work like that. In fact, sometimes it will be telling you to do stuff. It will be the antithesis of what you think you ought to do.
Like
But when it's real, yeah.
Like when you got down, you were told to get on your knees.
Oh, yeah. And talk to the man. It was like, no, I'm arguing with God. And it's like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, the thing is like, Wendy, everything, I'm sure that what this podcast is about and what everything I teach and the things that you teach, it's really about really being so intensely committed to your relationship with the divine that you are obedient in ways you never even thought before, because it will never guide you wrong. It will never lead you to a wrong place.
I love that. Yes. Yes. We surrender. Just like when you heard the call, when I heard the call, to be a minister, it's just like, you're like, what?
Right.
Right. And I remember actually at the old, the old campus of Agape on Buckingham. And I remember when you were in ministerial school, and I believe I even held vigil for a couple of classes when I was going through practitioner training. I remember seeing, and I remember your wonderful laugh. I would hear you laughing. You have such an infectious laugh. It's so wonderful. It's irresistible. Yeah. So as we're coming to a close, something that I also wrote down is sometimes you are called to say yes, act, and then surrender to the universe and the power of synchronicity.
Yeah, quantum physicists say we live in a field of infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
And that means to me that everything's possible, which is why we get to watch some people make interesting choices that we don't agree with. But yeah. that energy, I mean, when you are yes, you're in that field of possibility and potentiality, and the universe just starts to sync up. I mean, that when Michael used to say, pain pushes till the vision pulls, that's it. The vision is the synchronistic power of the universe that pulls you into directions you could never have dreamed of.
Right. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your voice. And thank you too for being a stand for other women to come forward and soar in their unique patterns of expression, because you really do stand for other women. You stand for humanity, and as a sister, you stand for other sisters to have that as well. And I so love and appreciate you for being a part of my life and for all that you have given forth through your work.
Thank you, Wendy. My honor to walk this path with you and to support women. I think it's our time to bring a different level of consciousness to the planet. And so thank you for doing this and inviting people to see who they really come here to be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I wish you and Carl and the family, blessed and beautiful holidays. And everyone that is with us today, I wish you a really blessed, beautiful, bountiful holiday season. And I will also make it possible for you to receive the Holiday Harmony free toolkit that I created to help you navigate the holidays with ease and grace, because we know in these times where there can be fractured relationships, where it can bring up sadness or missing someone or any number of emotions, you are not alone. You have Cynthia James to go to read this wonderful book. I will have the link for you to click on and purchase, read, and leave a review. I'm here for you, and we will see you again very shortly. Until next time, know that you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond description, and a force for good in the world. And as Cynthia has said, you have a voice. It is your birthright to express it. And so we hold space for you to step into your unique vision and expression. So thank you, and peace and many blessings.